Hey, it's Jacqueline from the CTS Sports Room, coming to you from my car. Because it's Christmas time, and my house is full of people, and I told them I was going grocery shopping, but really, I just needed a break. So I downloaded this new app that we just partnered with. It's SuperDraft Pro. It is the future of fantasy sports. And you can play for cash, prizes, and experiences that money can't buy. Like the peace and quiet I'm getting right now. You can play for free, or you can get their non-gambling subscription. Either way, you can still win cash and prizes. If you want more information, my friend Kyle Murray is going to tell you about it.
It's not easy being the fastest quarterback you've never seen. I'll be right back. There's no quicker way to get into DFS. Play Super Draft today and see for yourself.
SuperDraft Pro and Caesars Entertainment are bringing you the future of fantasy sports. So, if you want to play like a champion or need a break from the family, download SuperDraft Pro today. Play like a champion. Information will be in the link below.
It's actually Sunday night now. It's not like the mid between night and afternoon. And we're here with episode 4, I believe, of Sunday Night Scoreboard. So
yeah, it's not Sunday
date.
Evening Scoreboard. It's Sunday Night Scoreboard. So
yeah, Clack had a hot date, so we had to move it back a little bit.
Did
we'll be
not,
back
but
at
whatever.
5 Central, next week.
well, we're not sure about Clack's date. We just know he had one. We don't know if she was hot or not.
We don't know how it went, but So normally we save the Sunday night stuff for last, but since the Sunday night game is going to begin in like 15 minutes, I think we should start with that. Then we can kind of move on from there. Because Clack was going to bring it up beforehand when we were just chatting in here. And I said we should save it till we go live. So the Chargers and the Raiders are playing. It's a win-and-go-home game. Unless both teams kneel out the ball for 60 minutes and then another 15 minutes in overtime and score 0 points, then they both make the playoffs. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Apparently our thing says Bamberger Brigade on Twitter. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, it does. It does. I'm looking at it.
That's weird because it should say Sunday Night Scoreboard.
Yeah, whatever.
Set up, whatever. Who cares? They know what show it is.
We're here. We're talking football.
But yeah, so what do you guys think? Do you think there's ever even a remote chance that they do something like that? Because
how do you not? I mean, if you play the game, you're risking losing. I mean, how it's unfathomable.
You don't even know how to say the word, Clack. It's unfathomable.
It's like I can't even fathom the fact. Oh, we're walking into the stadium in the playoffs. Like right now, we're in the playoffs, but let's lose the game, and we're not in the playoffs. You can literally win the game or not play the game.
Clack.
You're in the playoffs. Like, why not do it?
Clack, are you on the alcohol again?
No, I'm just like, this is like, it's like mind-boggling when people are thinking not do it.
Because it's a football game, and you go out there to win the game. Like, no one's gonna say.
Okay, Herm Edwards.
I'm just saying, you think they would really go out there and both teams would just play that way? No shot.
Yeah, I feel like
it's a pride thing.
Y'all know the prisoner's dilemma, right? The game, you take the money, you can both take the money and no one wins, or one person takes the money and they all win, or nobody takes the money and you both win. It's the same thing, right? You cannot trust another NFL team that's only looking out for themselves to not just try to score one drive and then just win the game and send you home. Also, I just figured out they meant the little banner at the bottom with the Twitter thing. I thought you were talking about our broadcast. Banner changes, it's just a little bit of advertising. That makes a lot more sense.
Glad everybody's paying attention though.
I'm just, I'm
Yes.
out of it. It's my off day today. But like, I agree, it would be really funny to watch two professional teams just trot out there and try to kneel it out. But I feel like the only way we're going to have a tie is if it happens organically. Like it almost happened between the Rams and 49ers until Matt Stafford threw yet another pick. But
yeah, I mean, I think this game will be like very competitive though. So like it could go down to the wire. I fully anticipate that, but they're not just going to straight up kneel the ball. I mean, maybe it ends in a tie, but I doubt that too. The chances of that happening are so unlikely. But then again, the chances of the Jaguars beating the Colts today was unlikely too, and that happened. So anything's possible in the NFL.
Not even beating, but they stomped the Colts. Like it was not even particularly close. So I want to say like about the Raiders, right? The Chargers Raiders. I don't know who's going to win this game. Sorry, I'm reading the funny comment. Believe it or not, Joey
Steelers been on the alcohol.
Yeah, no, believe it or not, Joey wrote that one out. So
completely believable.
I've been super impressed with the Raiders this year with everything that's gone on, right? They fired their coach like mid-season. They lost Henry Ruggs. He, got arrested, killed someone in a car crash. And like so many times the team could have just collapsed, right? Like they could have just given up. But they didn't. They fought through it all, and here they are in the final week, win and get in the playoff situation. So I'm actually super impressed by them.
Who do you think wins this game tonight?
I think the Chargers probably win, in my opinion. I mean, Justin Herbert is very good, and like Derek Carr is a very solid quarterback, but I think he's not as good as some people make him out to be. I think he's a good mid-tier, like he's a high mid-tier quarterback, but Justin Herbert is already like near the top tier.
Yeah,
or has the potential to be up there. So,
well, I think the Chargers overall are just a better team. They have a lot more talent, but you good, bro?
Don't say it.
I'm great.
Okay, I think the Chargers overall just have way more talent than the Raiders. The Raiders have a lot of holes on their offense, but looking forward to a good game. But yeah, I agree with you. I'd have to pick the Chargers to win. What about you, Clack?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Raiders. It's in Las Vegas.
Of course you are.
Me. It's in Vegas. It's in Vegas, right?
I don't know. You're asking me.
And, I think it's in Vegas. Well, regardless, I'm gonna go Vegas.
It is in Vegas.
Yeah.
Both teams now obviously same record. So why are you going to go Vegas though?
I think San Diego. My gosh.
Rip.
Clack, please.
Wanting to go back a few years. The Chargers have not been a good team at closing games this year. They blew a lead at the Cowboys. They blew a lead at the Chiefs. Every big game, it seems like they've blown it, and that's going to happen tonight. If we're going to play, they're going to blow it.
If we're going to play,
they've had a tendency to do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, if we're going to play, right, they could kneel it out, and that would be super exciting. I agree with Clack, though. I'm really excited for this game between the San Diego Chargers and the Oakland Raiders. I think it's going to be really good.
Clack had a couple of drinks at dinner on his dinner date.
No, I'm fine.
So,
Clack, what is this girl's name?
We're not doing.
Yeah, I feel like that there's a time and place for everything, but not now.
Especially with Joey on the prowl.
That's true.
So I wanted to get your guys' opinion about something too. So Jim Harbaugh recently basically came out and said that. Well, I don't know if he's came out and said, but a bunch of reports came out and said that he's going to leave Michigan. He's going to take an NFL job again, and the Raiders were like top of the teams that have been rumored to get him, and apparently like it seems like a really good fit. So I mean, what do you guys think about Harbaugh going to the Raiders? Do you think it's going to be a good? I mean, because he is a coach that has Super Bowl experience. He didn't win one, but he brought the.
I think the mindset of Gruden and Harbaugh, just the way they're both kind of basically crazy. They're very interesting individuals. I think kind of draws them to not want to hire a guy like Harbaugh. I think they're going to probably go with like a safe pick guy. I think Harbaugh, is a little too controversial. Not quite as controversial as John Gruden, obviously, but a lot of people hate Harbaugh, so I don't think they would do something like that.
But on the other hand, Mark Davis hired John Gruden in the first place, so maybe Jim Harbaugh is a Mark Davis type coach. Coaches have their types. Like Jerry Jones likes people that are very like yes sir, you tell me, you say jump, I say how high type coaches.
Yeah, exactly.
Like every owner has their own preference. All
right.
right,
I'm with. Sorry,
you're fine.
Do it. I'm kind of with Joe or with Tyler. I think I lost my train of thought there for a moment. I think he'll go. I think if the Raiders don't make a deep run here, I think that Harbaugh's the guy for Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I think a guy like Bill O'Brien too would be a decent fit for Vegas as well. That's part of that's me just hoping he leaves and goes there, but also that was kind of a name I thought of since he's been brought up already with the Jaguars.
Yeah, I saw that, and I also saw the Panthers apparently wanted to get him as like their offensive coordinator, but I don't know why he would make a lateral move like that because
pay wise, it's
yeah.
Well, I don't know actually. I'd have to see like the contract like full breakdown, but yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, would you rather be the OC for like a mid to bottom tier NFL team, or would you rather be the OC for like the premier college team? So I guess it's like a pick
the
your
college
poison.
team.
Yeah, because as much hate as he gets, you're still winning all these games. You're still having a bunch of success there, and then you go to the I thought Joe Brady was going to be great. He went to the Panthers, and the reality hit real quick. Like it ain't the same. So
yeah. Well, also too, like the longer you're there, the more you learn from Nick Saban, the more chance you have of getting like a head coaching job after like a couple years too. So I agree. If he's going to leave, it would probably be to take a head coaching job. I don't know if he'd want to be a coordinator again.
I don't know though. Like Bill O'Brien, obviously Nick Saban's the greatest college coach of all time, but I don't know how much Bill O'Brien can really learn from Nick Saban at this point, right? Like it's not like Bill O'Brien's a fresh-faced young lad. Like he's been the head coach of many different teams at this point. I don't know how much he's going to pick up. Like
when you get fired from somewhere, it humbles you, and there's always things you can pick up. I'm not saying like, he's going to learn a bunch, but there could be some minor things he picks up that he takes with him if he goes on to coach, in the NFL again.
Okay, yeah, that's fair, I guess. So circling back around to what we normally start with, there's a few non-game things I want to talk about before talking about the games that happened throughout today. So first off, there was like a lot of different records being broken throughout the NFL this week, right? Like TJ Watt tied the all-time single-season sack record. He might actually break it. The Steelers were like appealing to the NFL because apparently he helped take down the quarterback on a play and wasn't credited a half sack. So if he wins this appeal, he's actually the all-time leader. Devontae Adams set the Packers record for receiving yards, so on and so on.
And some records that were not quite set due to coaches, right, Tyler?
Oh, yeah, you know it. But my question isn't about these records. My question is, how do you feel about like the validity of them because there's an extra game?
I don't necessarily think like it's cool to see the records get broken, but doing it and having an extra game, I think, is kind of like, waters down the fact that they're breaking the record.
I don't know. I agree to an extent, but also you have to think about the fact that the majority of records that were current were set in a 16-game season. Before it was like a 14-game season. Before that, it was a 12-game season. So I don't know. Like I do think that you're going to see an influx of records being broken. But I also think if you try to delegitimize these, you should also delegitimize the 16-game season ones and then the 14-game season. You see what I'm saying? Like,
well, all the really old records, back in like the 50s or 60s, people like to joke around and say, well, yeah, that was because they were going up against like trash guys down the street. So I mean, the talent is definitely a lot better now too. So that's like a counter argument, I think.
Okay, yeah, I mean like Night Train Lane's record or something for interceptions in a season. Quarterbacks, once someone has like I think it was 13 interceptions. Once someone has that many interceptions, they do not throw their way for the rest of the season. Like,
Yeah,
you just. Also, Michael said Bills and Chiefs lose next week. Heard it here first. I think the Bills have a shot at losing, right? Didn't they lose to the Patriots?
Bills, the Chiefs are currently matched up with Pittsburgh. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, but
Who
the
knows?
Bills are going to play the Patriots, right? So
yeah. But those two. Last time they played, the Bills beat the Patriots pretty handily, right?
I think are playing the Patriots actually.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
That's my bad. So I guess the Bills would play the 5th seed, which is either whoever wins tonight, I guess. So,
well, the Steelers already had a tough time with the Chiefs a couple weeks ago, so I don't really see that changing.
True.
And that's more about the Steelers not being great. It's not about the Chiefs being some unbeatable force, because I think the Chiefs are going into the playoffs like as probably one of the more overrated teams. But I don't know. It would take it would take some magic for Big Ben and the Steelers to be able to beat them.
That's really spicy.
And I'm assuming it's being played in Arrowhead too.
Yeah, I mean, unless they play the Titans.
Kansas City won their division.
Yeah, well, unless Kansas City plays the Titans, they have home field over every other team. So, yeah, that's kind of spicy saying a team that had the same record as the number 1 seed and just lost on strength of schedule, overrated.
I don't know. I mean, there's a good team, but also I don't necessarily think that they're as good as people say they are.
Their division is also a weak division, honestly. I mean, you've got Denver's not good. The Chargers are a roller coaster of a team, and yeah, I think they benefit from a semi-weak division.
A semi-weak division that could potentially send 3 teams to the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't.
3 teams that are not going to make it past or 2 teams that are not going to make it past wild card.
But it's the NFL though.
Okay.
Like, who knows what's going to happen? Did anybody think that the wild card Giants were going to win a Super Bowl? No.
And also, like, barring the football team last year, like, sorry, Joe, how often is the wild card team favored?
Yeah,
almost
exactly.
never. So I don't know.
True.
But we can go back to the Chiefs in a little bit. There's a couple other non-game things I want to talk about too. So what are your guys' thoughts on tanking the last game of the season? I have tanking on here. I don't mean tanking a whole season. That's a little bit much. I'm saying like Minnesota and Washington are 2 great examples where Minnesota and Washington fans, both teams today had nothing to gain by winning, and they both played their starters and won. It's good for morale, but also don't you think it would have been a little bit better to lose and get a better draft pick? You know?
Yeah, well, and I know I get the argument. Obviously, I was hoping that Washington would lose today, because I wanted them to have a draft pick. They currently went in the day picking 9th. If they won, they could pick as high as like 12 or something, and if they lost, they could pick as low as 6. And I wanted them to lose because I don't. There's no point. It's like a pat on the back moral victory by winning today and beating the Giants. Like, the Giants are not a good team. It's not like the last team they played this year was like, let's say they beat somebody today, like the Patriots, the Chiefs, or like one of these playoff teams, and like they won. You were like, okay, well that was a good win for them to end the year. They beat the Giants, who were on their 3rd string quarterback. Like, that's not all that impressive. And I mean, it stinks now because they're picking 11. Fortunately, like me and Tyler talked about, a lot of these teams that are picking ahead of them don't necessarily need quarterbacks. Obviously, there's surprises every year, but there's only a couple of teams like I think Carolina, Denver, and Houston that are probably going to need quarterbacks. And even so, like, those teams could get Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson or who knows what happens. So you never want to be rooting for a team to lose, and draft picks don't always turn out to be hit. But for them, they need a quarterback. So it's a non-factor. I mean, they have to go and get a quarterback, and they're going to have to draft one. So,
yeah. hot take, I think the Texans stick with Davis Mills at least one more year. They're not going to immediately compete next year, and the year after, like next year's quarterback class is a lot better. So, and the fact that Mills has played like decently, I think he's earned himself a year to kind of.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mills has played decent, and like you said, they're not. It's not like if they take a risk on a quarterback this year and the quarterback isn't good, then it's like, well, crap. We're gonna have to do this again 2 years in a row, which is fine. I mean, we saw the Cardinals do that when they drafted Rosen and it took Murray the next year. But I think you benefit more from taking a player that's going to have immediate impact. You know, whether that's Kayvon Thibodeau or Evan Neal, one of those other guys, and then you take a chance on the quarterback next year because you're likely going to be picking, pretty high. But you could mess around next year and win just enough games for you not to get one of those quarterbacks. But
yeah,
it's tough. I mean, they could also sign like a free agent guy too, like a mid-tier free agent quarterback, and just do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much my views on like tanking the last game. I wish we would have played our younger players, like rookies. That's one thing I'm not going to miss about the Mike Zimmer tenure. He's very against playing rookies, even if they're better. Like Justin Jefferson didn't start till week 4 last year, and he was behind. Oh gosh, who was starting over him? Oh yeah. Olabisi Johnson. He wouldn't start him over Olabisi Johnson. Yeah. So stuff like that. I just, people are like, oh, Kellen Mond must be bad because of Mike Zimmer's comments. Wyatt Davis must be bad. He never played in the game this year. But they're both third-round picks, and Mike Zimmer does not play rookies unless he's literally like gun to his head forced to. So I honestly don't know how good those players are, and I would have liked to see them play. Like, I don't know. But at the end of the day, as a fan, I feel like you always have to root for your team to win, right? I was happy we won. I wasn't happy in the fashion we won. But the difference between, like, for in our case, the 9th pick in the draft and the 12th pick in the draft is not enough to where, you know, you'd want my favorite team to lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's different for you, but I think for me, it would have been really nice to be like, okay, we're picking 6. Like, we pretty much have our choice of any one of these quarterbacks.
Well, and that's the thing, right, is it gets more and more important the closer you are to the number 1 pick. If it's the difference between the number 1 pick and the number 2 pick, you might want to consider not winning that game. Like, the number 1 pick is huge. You can do so much with that. Like, shoot, you can pick whoever you want, obviously, or you can get like an absolute haul for it if you trade it away. So
yeah, I mean,
honestly, like when you look at this year's draft class, like especially with the teams we talking about as a quarterback, like there is no good quarterback in this draft other than Matt Corral, who's injured now. Like I mean, there's just not a good quarterback in this draft. There's not. This to me feels like kind of a defensive heavy draft coming up.
No, yeah,
honestly,
I mean, it does.
I mean, your best quarterback is finished 9-3 or 10-3, and may have a torn ACL. And then there's Kenny Pickett, who, I mean, I think he's decent, but he's not going to come in and be like a Kyler Murray or a Joe Burrow has done.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm one of these teams picking at maybe the very end of the first round, I would take a look at Kenny Pickett. Maybe like Detroit, I guess, who I'm looking right now is slated to pick 27th because they have a couple of first-round picks, I think. Yeah, they have 2. So Kenny Pickett at 27 for Detroit, that makes sense, I think. Oh, it makes sense a lot, but I don't think Kenny Pickett's going to go very high. And then I guess, like, you said Corral would be the only other guy that would probably go, in the top 15, probably to Washington. I mean, I don't know. It's such a crapshoot. You never really know with this stuff.
Malik Willis is going to go high, but he is so overrated.
That's what I'm worried about. I think Corral is the only one who has a first-round draft grade. But I think with Malik Willis, because of some of the athletic traits, he'll get talked into being a first-round pick.
Well, and the thing about quarterbacks, for all the talk that like this year is a weak quarterback class, and I agree, and I've said it a lot too, every year there's like normally 1 or maybe even 2 quarterbacks that are like surprisingly decent, that like I mean, I guess it's not a guarantee, but there's normally like 1 to 2 starters that come out of most drafts. So I think that at least one player that isn't getting a lot of hype, maybe it is Malik Willis, maybe it's maybe Kenny Pickett goes out there and lights it up, but like someone will be better than people are going to give it. Like I don't think it's going to be Sam Howell or anything like that, but I
That's
think
who I was
that
actually thinking to say.
you're going to say Sam Howell's going to be better than people thought. Well,
I was
maybe.
gonna just throw it. I was just gonna throw out a guess and say Sam Howell.
But there always seems to be like one guy that's actually pretty decent.
The thing with Malik Willis is like you look at his stats playing for Liberty, they didn't play anybody that great, and he had 27 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. And like I think the only time they played anybody good, I can't remember who they played. Ole Miss, I think he was 16 for 25, 173 yards and 3 interceptions. And then, Army would be one of their quote-unquote better teams. He was 24 for 46, a touchdown and a pick. So he's not like a first-round worthy quarterback. I would take a chance on him in the second or third, but I would hate to see one of these teams talk themselves into picking him just because he has a couple nice athletic traits.
Yeah, I think that when you're looking at the quarterbacks that play at like not great schools, right? Like him, maybe Zach Wilson last year, Trey Lance.
I mean, at least BYU though is a Power 5 school.
I mean, now it is, but like I guess what I was gonna say is, yeah, great quarterbacks will play great no matter what, but also Liberty does not have the weapons to compete with Ole Miss. Like, so yeah, they're gonna get stomped all around. I think that sometimes it's also matchup dependent, and like the vice versa is true as well, where like sometimes a player could look really good because they're on a good Power 5 team, but then they end up doing like nothing in the NFL.
Hey, just to interrupt, just to go back on a story we talked about previously, they are not doing the kneel down thing in Vegas. Vegas has the ball, 1st and goal on the 2-yard line.
Really?
There you go.
So there you have it.
I'm kind of disappointed.
One of the teams will miss the playoffs.
Oh, man, Clack, you were wrong. Per usual.
I never said they would do it.
They should do it. That's different.
They should. And
So
they definitely should.
I guess I wanted to ask too, before diving into games, who are some other head coaches you believe are going to get fired before, like Mike Zimmer is a cheat answer because it's basically already been reported he's gone. Anyone else that you think is going to be fired? Like Vic Fangio got fired.
Frank Wright.
today.
Frank Wright.
You think
or
Frank
Mike
Wright?
Jones.
Ooh.
Clack.
So Colts head coach Frank Wright.
Why would they fire Frank Wright? Frank Wright is literally one of the best coaches in the NFL, and you're going to say they're going to fire him because they missed the playoffs this year. That's such a that might be one of your worst takes, and you've had some bad takes. That is egregiously bad.
In all seriousness, Brian Flores.
Yes, I agree with Brian Flores as an answer. I still don't know if that necessarily is going to happen. I think the obvious answer, well,
Joe Judge.
No, God, Joe Judge is an idiot, but that's beside the point because he's only been there for 1 year. Matt Nagy should be getting fired, but I think I saw rumors that
I think they reported he was too. Yeah,
that he would be fired. I thought they would say they might keep him.
The last I saw was that both coaches in today's Vikings-Bears game were already told. I think I saw one that someone had informed him that it was his last game. It could be, reputable. But.
Both teams, the Bears and the Vikings, if they go ahead and fire their head coaches, will benefit so much next year. I don't even know who they're going to hire. I just know that the guys that they had currently there are not the answer. I saw Pete Carroll maybe is one of the names. I don't think Pete Carroll will get fired though.
The Texans, David Culley, I saw they were going to quote talk about their options after today's game.
Yeah, I mean it's not like he had much to work with, there in Houston.
And there's one name we're completely forgetting that their fans are beyond ready for a change, and that is the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I still don't think they're gonna fire Matt Rule. I think their scapegoat was firing Joe Brady. So I mean, I think they'll be okay. This is actually kind of one of those years where I don't think we'll see as many coaches get fired. We'll probably, Mike Zimmer, Matt Nagy, and maybe a couple other guys, but it won't be a year where we see as many as we usually do.
And real quick before we dive into some of the games, I think we should have, a quick message from our partner. So we'll be back in a minute.
Hey, it's Jacqueline from the CTS Sports Room, coming to you from my car. Because it's Christmas time, and my house is full of people, and I told them I was going grocery shopping, but really, I just needed a break. So I downloaded this new app that we just partnered with. It's SuperDraft Pro. It is the future of fantasy sports. And you can play for cash, prizes, and experiences that money can't buy. Like the peace and quiet I'm getting right now. You can play for free, or you can get their non-gambling subscription. Either way, you can still win cash and prizes. If you want more information, my friend Kyle Murray is going to tell you about it.
It's not easy being the fastest quarterback you've never seen. I'll be right back. There's no quicker way to get into DFS. Play Super Draft today and see for yourself.
SuperDraft Pro and Caesars Entertainment are bringing you the future of fantasy sports. So, if you want to play like a champion or need a break from the family, download SuperDraft Pro today. Play like a champion. Information will be in the link below.
Yeah, so special thank you to our partners, SuperDraft Pro. You should go check it out. The link is on the screen or down below if you're on YouTube in the description. And, go check it out. You can win a lot of prizes and play some fantasy sports. So, where were we? Oh, yes. 30 minutes in, we can finally talk about games that happened. So the Chiefs-Broncos game last night, they kept talking about it all game, but there's a 86-yard scoop and score by rookie linebacker Nick Bolton that helped the Chiefs win 28-24. It ended up not mattering because the Titans won today, but it kept their chances of being the 1 seed alive last night. So Joe, you said that the Chiefs are a little overrated. I want you to expound on that a little bit.
I mean, they struggled most of that game with the Broncos. They ended up pulling away because the Broncos are the Broncos, coached by Vic Fangio, who will likely get fired. Or who is fired, actually.
Joe, he has been. Okay.
Yes. So Clackler was quick to correct me because he's usually wrong. So it's nice for him to correct someone else or change. But I don't know. I'm just they struggled early on in the year. They kind of figured it out. Towards the middle of the year, they've had a nice showing recently, but I don't know what it is. I don't really have a concrete reason, other than I guess I'm still think that Patrick Mahomes, something about him this year has been a little bit off. I guess that would just be my reason, to be honest.
I don't think you can call a team that's 12-5 and tied for the best team in the AFC overrated, And then they started off super slow, right? They ended 12-5, but they started.
Somebody asked which one Clackler.
Yeah, which one is Clackler? That's why I put the thing down so it shows the names. But top right on my screen. I don't know if it's different for anyone else.
Top right for me as well.
So the Broncos
left for
fired. Oh wow, you're different. The Broncos fired Vic Fangio. I think he'd make a good defensive coordinator somewhere. He was a really good DC with the
Alabama.
Nah, you gotta believe in our boy Peter. I think he'll be a good defensive coordinator somewhere, but he was not a great head coach. And I think pretty much any defensive first head coach is not going to work out in today's NFL. I just don't see success with it.
Yeah, it's an offensive league now.
Yeah. I mean, Dan Quinn was getting some buzz for head coaching jobs again.
I never really thought that he should have gotten fired. I mean, he had a couple rough years, but I do think he's a good NFL coach, and I think somebody would benefit from having him as a head coach, whether it's this year or going forward, maybe next year. But he's done some pretty awesome things to that Cowboys defense, which, I mean, it helps to have Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs, but still.
The Cowboys were in a really great spot because the last 2 years in a row they were able to draft best player available, and when you can draft best player available, and I love the Clacker roast going on in the chat.
No, okay, so I'm not a Georgia fan. I just picked Georgia to win, and Joey gets a bee in his bonnet and does not shut up.
So, do you guys think that the Broncos are going to draft a quarterback this next year? They got a lot of flack for not picking Justin Fields and picking Pat Surtain instead. Yeah, the Alabama.
I don't know.
I'm trying to point that out because.
What were you gonna say?
No, but anyway,
nothing. Joey, shut up.
Do you think that Denver would draft a quarterback, or I think more realistically they're going to try to trade for someone?
I think they'll trade for Deshaun Watson.
Think Watson?
I think Watson because Locke is kind of meh and Bridgewater is meh, and this draft class, aside from Matt Corral, is meh. So I don't really know anybody else that they could trade for that would help them out as much as Deshaun Watson would. But I don't know if they don't really have. If you're gonna get Watson, you're gonna have to give up a lot of draft capital. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know how they fare in that. I know they have one first-round pick, but it's gonna take more than that.
The whole Watson situation is from a purely football standpoint, he makes pretty much any team he goes to better, but also. And rightfully so, any team that trades for him is going to get a ton of flack and deal with a lot of fans that are at least mad until he plays his first game, and then they forget everything because NFL fans have very short memories if your guys scoring touchdowns. But I don't know. I think that he would be a good addition for them, and then I could also see them trading for even Kirk Cousins. I was talking to Joe about it beforehand. I'm wearing my Kirk Cousins jersey today. I rarely wear it, but it's in solidarity because there's a decent chance that this could have been his last game with the Vikings. It all depends on our new coach and new general manager, what they want to do. But there's a decent chance he could be traded to save the money.
Here's what I'm going to say, and this might surprise people. Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, none of them are going anywhere. I don't think any of them get traded. I think they all stay where they're at right now, which puts like we keep talking about a lot of these quarterback needy teams in a tough position because you're forced to. I mean, Deshaun Watson is the only guy that I would say we can pretty much 100% say will be on the move. I don't know where that'll be, but that's one guy. That's one player, and there's 3 or 4 teams that could use a quarterback. So I mean, a lot of these teams are going to have to, even when they don't want to, rely on the draft to get a guy or hope that they luck out and get Deshaun Watson, giving up a mortgage to get him. I think Aaron Rodgers, that Packers situation's been mended. I think that, it'll be mended a lot if they win the Super Bowl too. And then I think with Russell Wilson, I think that was kind of blown out of proportions. I think Derek Carr has given the Raiders enough to be the guy. And then what was the last one I brought up? Kirk, I think also whoever the new coach is gonna like Kirk Cousins a lot and realize that holy crap, Mike Zimmer just didn't know what to do with all these gadgets he had on offense.
Yeah, I could see that. So I'll talk about Kirk Cousins when we get to Vikings game. But the Steelers beat the Ravens 16-13 in overtime. Steelers make the playoffs if the Raiders and Chargers don't tie tonight, much to Clack's chagrin. But
we had to have some diversity on here. That's why we got a Georgia football fan on here.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be sad. It would be kind of boring if everyone was rooting for Bama all the time. He's a Georgia football fan. And he's also like a fan of like 17 different NFL teams or something like that. I don't know. So
Yes.
TJ Watt tied the
Definitely.
sack record from the Steelers, or from all-time sack record today. He tied Michael Strahan's record with 23.5. Like I said earlier, the Steelers, I think, are appealing one of them, trying to get him credited with an extra one. So that would be cool if he said it. But I kind of feel bad for the Ravens with, Lamar Jackson being out with COVID and then being hurt. And Tyler Huntley's a decent backup, but he's not a starter, So the
Is
fact
this
that they were
boring
that
you,
close.
Clack?
No. No. Go ahead.
It's been a rough show for Clack, ladies and gentlemen.
It has. Hey, I'm used to it.
State tired him out beforehand.
Yeah, wait. Pause.
God, we're never gonna.
No,
We're never gonna get off that, are we?
No, we're not. We're not. That's always gonna be a thing. But I wasn't. I'm not particularly surprised with the Ravens because I did feel like they were one of those teams that won a lot of really close, like down to the fourth quarter or overtime games this year. I mean, the Lions should have beat them. That was early on in the season. It just seemed like all of their games were games that they were like this close to losing and like probably should have lost and they didn't. And then I think injuries caught up with them too. They had a lot of injuries. Just going into the season, they lost 3 running backs? J.K. Dobbins. They lost like all the running backs, and then they had some secondary guys go down. So, and also like I know this is a bit of a hot take, and I'm not here to hate on anybody, but I've never really been quite fond of Lamar Jackson. Phenomenal athlete, but I still think that the people that say, he struggles against tough defenses, I think there's a bit of truth to be derived from that.
Shoot, he struggled against Minnesota, who ended 8-9. They got the win, but that was because
he's gonna have these spinning highlights and hurdles and all that against the teams that he should be that against, and then against the great defenses, or even above average defenses, he's gonna struggle a lot. So you'll have those great games, and then you'll have games where you're like, yikes, this is one of the quote unquote best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Also, real quick for all my basketball fans, Klay Thompson is taking the floor for the first time in 940 days. So that's exciting.
Did he get a haircut? Because last I saw his hair.
He's rocking the Jackie Moon headband and the fro. I love it.
Big yikes.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm a Warriors fan. Steph Curry's my favorite player of all time. Had to pick a team, and I went with the ultimate bandwagon. But anyway, this is a football show. I just wanted to update you. Well, it's a football show for right now. Just wanted to update everyone on that. The Packers lost to the Lions 30-37. It was a meaningless game, but Aaron Rodgers had more passing yards and touchdowns in one quarter than Jordan Love had all game, which is not great. My girlfriend is a Packers fan. She texted me and said, "What's his name is very bad," talking about Jordan Love.
No, I didn't watch the whole game, but I saw that he had a couple decent throws. Like he was doing okay. I wouldn't say that he was doing Clack. Please.
What?
These yawns, man. God, you look like you've been staying up all night or something. Rough night on the town?
All the driving from last night.
Okay. Well, anyways, that was just a weird game for the Packers because they started sitting their starters. So a good moral victory for the Lions, though. I think the Lions – I like the Lions. I like watching them this year. They're always competitive in a lot of their games. If they can just, fix a couple of their bigger holes in free agency, I think they'll be okay going into next year. They won 2 games. They'll win maybe 6 next year. But also there's some positives for them. Penei Sewell had a pretty good year. Amon-Ra St. Brown really took off the second half of the year. He'll be probably one of the top receivers in the NFL next year. Not top 10, but top 20 or something. And then
they still have the potential of Jeff Okudah, maybe. I think Okudah
would have been good. So you get Okudah back. You probably take Thibodeau or Hutchinson.
Mhm.
I think Hutchinson because he's, a Michigan. He went to Michigan. I think that's what they'll do. They'll take him. And then you got some pieces along the offensive line. I don't think Jared Goff's horrible. He gets a lot of crap, but I think he's serviceable. And DeAndre Swift. I think they have some good things to look forward to next year. I don't know if there's any Lions fans in here. I know Tyler doesn't like to hear that as a Vikings fan, but
I don't mind the Lions. I like they're like the little brother.
yeah, it's like, come on.
Jake really wanted to know who do we think is going to win the national championship. I'm a true Bama fan. I'm going to say Alabama, and but I think both of them are haters. I think, right? Both of y'all said Georgia. You switch your mind, Joe?
No, yeah, I've come to my senses. I said Alabama would win. I think my score prediction was like 31-27 or something. I mean, it might change overnight, but I still do think that Bama wins. Clack's the only, as a Georgia grad, obviously he's gonna
Georgia fan.
He's gonna pick them, yeah.
I mean, I'm a Bama fan, but
Clack, didn't he
that doesn't
graduate
mean I
from
have to
Liberty?
pick 'em. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
why didn't you weigh in on your boy Malik Willis?
I did. I said he's overrated.
Okay. Wow,
But
no
I
Liberty
think-
flame pride for Clack.
I think Georgia's gonna win.
Score prediction? Actually, you don't have to give one because we're gonna have a show tomorrow, so save that for tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna have a show tomorrow.
Oh.
Let me think about this so I don't get roasted too bad.
Yeah, maybe you'll fall on the concrete again and hit your head, and some sense will be knocked into you.
Let's hope I don't do that again.
Yeah, Clack's date was actually just going in public and barking at people. It was kind of weird.
I swear,
Clark
if one
took a
person
dog.
barks at me,
Clack took a dog out to dinner. He just barked at him. He took the Georgia. What's the Georgia Bulldogs name?
Uga.
I have no idea.
Okay,
I don't keep up with them.
We need to start a rumor
Okay,
that
yeah.
Clack took Uga out to dinner. All right.
Anyway, this is a football podcast.
So the Jaguars beat the Colts 26-11. The Colts choked, their playoff hopes. They had to win, and in the winner go home game, Jonathan Taylor had 75 yards and no touchdowns. It's not great, Kind of kills his MVP chances.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. But I wanted Jonathan Taylor to win MVP. But I just don't think it's very realistic now to him, with them not even mixing him on me. I think he had a great year. He might win Offensive Player of the Year, but I think this is like Rodgers's or Brady's year to lose. All right, I'll talk about the Vikings for a little bit while Joe. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say for MVP, I think that you've been kind of talking about it every week, but I do think it will go to Rodgers for sure. Despite the fact that who is that voter that said he wasn't gonna vote for Rodgers because of
His
medical stuff or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we haven't even
I don't
talked about
remember who it
that.
was exactly.
We won't get into that. I thought that was so stupid, and then Rodgers basically called him out on it.
Yeah.
And the guy backpedaled so hard. But I mean, I think it'll be Rodgers for sure.
Back-to-back MVPs too. That'd be pretty crazy. So the Vikings beat the Bears 31-17 in Mike Zimmer's almost all but guaranteed to be Mike Zimmer's last game.
Algon would.
Justin Jefferson ended up 17 yards short of the Vikings receiving record, and I went to Twitter. I was kind of mad about that one because Mike Zimmer didn't attempt a pass for the last 5 minutes of the game. We had the ball, and then he doubled down in the postgame conference. I could understand if he didn't pass because odds or something, but he said specifically in the postgame, yeah, I knew he was pretty close. I just decided that I'd rather win. Dude, you're up 14 with 5 minutes to go. You can pass for 17 yards and then run the ball. The epitome of that, it was 3rd and 16 and they handed the ball off. Just to why? And it just made me so mad. And I hope that doesn't leave a bad taste in JJ's mouth. But I think it'll probably be softened by the fact that Mike Zimmer and definitely Clint Kubiak as well are gone. So they'll maybe finally have a coach that appreciates them.
Yeah, and I mean, I replied to your tweet saying that once they get rid of Mike Zimmer, I think that they will have a top 5 offense in the league because, I mean, you've got Dalvin Cook, you've got Justin Jefferson, you've got Adam Thielen. I mean, you'll get Irv Smith back. I mean, I know he was supposed to have a pretty big year for them. So they have all these weapons. They just need a coach that isn't an old stick in the mud and can open the playbook up for them. But I'm excited. I would be, as a Vikings fan, I keep saying I don't know who they're going to hire, but whoever it is, I think will be a great offensive mind. So I think they'll be okay in that regard. I mean,
in my admittedly biased opinion, I think the Vikings are probably one of the more attractive openings of teams because they already have a bunch of talent on their team.
Their defense isn't horrible too. That it's just questionable at times.
Yeah, Zimmer doesn't adapt well to the modern NFL. But
yeah, because he's been in the NFL for so long. He's one of these coaches. It's like my way or the highway,
Yeah. And then the Titans beat the Texans 28-25. It probably shouldn't have been that close, but division games, weird. The Titans locked up the first round bye and the 1 seed. They had the same record as the Chiefs, but I think they had strength of schedule or divisional record or something over them. This is huge in my opinion because Derrick Henry was slated to maybe come back this week and only be back by the second round of the playoffs. So adding Derrick Henry to already the best team in the AFC, Titans might make some noise this year,
Do you think it takes – do you think Henry steps in right away and it's like that, or do you think it takes him a little bit? I mean, if anybody's a physical specimen, just absolute freak of nature, it's Derrick Henry, so I wouldn't be all that surprised. But at the same time, I mean, he's coming back from a pretty tough injury.
I think absolutely. I think that if he was – Clack, you're muted, by the way. I'm not trying to interrupt you. You're just not making noise. It wasn't me. But you see, okay. I just want to point out, Jake, we're not allowed to use that word on the YouTubes. That's why it's medical stuff or whatever. But I think that if anyone can do it, Derrick Henry can jump right in. Clack, you had something to say?
Well, I was just saying, you were saying about the Titans and the Chiefs, and the Titans have a win over the Chiefs this year. That's why they have tiebreaker.
Oh, I forgot they played, honestly. I really did.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
The Titans won 34-3.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it was that one. That was peak, the Chiefs are bad and their seasons are type life. I remember. So then I was on our little handy-dandy doc beforehand. The games weren't already decided, but now they are, so we know that the NFC playoff is set. So it's the Packers, and then the Buccaneers, I believe, and then the Rams, then who's the last team I'm forgetting? The Eagles. No, the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 2. Duh. Sorry. Okay. Retake that. It's Packers, Cowboys.
I'm so confused.
Buccaneers, Rams. I'm so confused too. And then we also got the 49ers and the Cardinals. And who's the last team? The Eagles in the playoffs. So that's the NFC playoff picture. The AFC playoff picture will be decided depending on how the Chargers and the Raiders, game turns out tonight, which is pretty exciting.
How about 10-0 right now? The Raiders are winning 10-0. So
Clack agrees. How about them Cowboys? I remember him wearing the Cowboys jersey that one week.
Yeah, and then the Saints jersey that other week, and then the Patriots jersey the next week. Dolphins jersey one week.
The playoffs are the playoffs are set. Other than the Cowboys and Chargers game tonight, and whoever wins that game will be the 6th seed, and we'll play the Bills.
Yeah, unless they tie,
Unless
but I don't know. Do you guys have anything else to add? Any closing thoughts before we go? A little bit chaotic.
Yeah, no,
Well, be sure to join us tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m.
Eastern
Central.
time.
Yep.
I'm on Eastern time now, so I'm having to say it.
Ah, you
3
got your
p.m.
big
Eastern,
boy
2
pants.
2 p.m. Central. 3 Eastern, 2 Central. We'll be previewing the national championship between Alabama and Georgia.
We can roast Clack some more.
Yeah. I already had a nice little tweet I
I'll
just
have
sent out
to-
about a clock roasting.
Gosh.
So be sure to check
But,
that out if
yeah,
anybody's
so check that out.
I'm sorry for picking what I think is going to be the winner. You can't let your
Clack,
fandom
I'm going to
decide.
show up wearing Alabama head to toe tomorrow, and I'm going to give you absolute hell. I want you to know that.
I'm going to be wearing
talking like-
Alabama tomorrow too.
So you're going to sit on here in Alabama clothes and talk bad about the team?
I'm not talking bad. I mean, I'm saying I don't think we.
Tyler, do you think we
Yep.
can Amazon a Clack a Bulldog T-shirt overnight for him to wear?
I don't know.
What's your hotel
like-
address, Clack?
Hell if I know.
Might have to look.
You look at the people like. I mean, you don't see Kirk Herbstreit, an Ohio State grad. He picks against Ohio State.
Well,
Just
I don't
Yeah,
know.
but he's
We'll-
also getting
But
paid.
anyway.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we'll get into it more tomorrow, but I want you to know I'm going to give you hell because I've
Yeah.
completely changed my mind on who I think.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah,
You
but
changed
thanks
your
for
mind
watching
everything.
tonight. We'll be back
Yeah,
next
thanks for
Sunday
watching.
at 5 p.m. Central, hopefully, unless Clack's got to go bark at some more people in public. We'll also be here on Thursday at 7 Central
man.
with the Bama Brigade. I'll be here 6 Central as well with Rolling with the Tide. Might have some guests. Who knows? We've got some stuff lined up. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.